Good morning, this is just a video I feel like making, but isn't that what I could say for easily any video ever? I'm hungover today because last night I was at this event. This lady was looking for people to like help out with their charity. They're like, we're helping get like dental care and health care for low income and poor and struggling and sick folks. Would you like to help? I thought to myself, you know what? The meaning of life I have been trying to get back again, and I have free time, so I could easily do this. But I had to cancel on her today because I was extremely hungover. And I thought to myself, oh, am I a bad person? And I thought, no, a bad person wouldn't feel bad about having to cancel. They just cancel. Even then, you shouldn't feel bad about canceling because you know that you're hungover and you know that your period's about to start, if not tonight, then tomorrow, and that means your premenstrual dysphoric disorder can act up, and suddenly you'll be more suicidal or having more fucked up thoughts or being more paranoid or more aggressive, and you don't want to do that to a bunch of people who are giving their time for free to help. And also, I genuinely do care about the cause, so I told her that I couldn't today, but maybe tomorrow or something. She said that sounds wonderful. And I had to remind myself I'm not a bad person because bad people don't care about if they're doing bad or not for the most part. Or, well, it depends on case by case basis. And that I just need to make sure I take care of my health because I can't do anything if I'm like super sick, ill, shaking, like fever burning up, hungover, and then also like just struggling with mental stuff that like I gotta give to myself first before I give to anyone else. I can't devote like 5 hours to a place. Like I kind of thought to myself, I'm a good person. A 1 hour orientation, I probably would have still gone regardless of my issues. 5 fucking hours of free labor? I'm not that good of a person. But tomorrow I picture I will be. And I guess it got me thinking, what makes someone a good or not good person? Do we just go off of the moral code of yourself or the moral code of others? And then how can you be sure it's so correct or not? Because there's been multiple times in history we thought of what is good and what is bad. And it still has ripple effects to this day. Like how we had to pass laws to make it okay for like black people and white people and Latino people and Asian people to sit in the same spots and eat in the same spots. Because at some point, a lot of colonizers went, you know what? Anyone who's below this shade, fuck them. Anyone who's above this shade, you're on thin fucking ice. You still can't sit with us, but we might let you work here or something. And you can't share the bathrooms with us. And they were like burning crosses on yours, saying that the very existence of being black was the issue. Whole time they were the bad guys. It's like you're beating the shit out of poor innocent children and throwing them in lakes because you thought they whistled at a white woman. It's like even if they did, you don't fucking mangle a child so bad that they can't have an open casket funeral. Evil. It's so tiresome. It just kind of scares me, like across humanity, what's been considered like good or bad. Like I think it was Galileo. I could be wrong, but wasn't he the guy who said, "Hey y'all, I think like the earth spins around the sun. I don't think the sun spins around us." And then they said, "Fuck you, nigga. We're gonna torture you to death in the most medieval, fucked up way possible, just for him to be right." And then I guess like years late, like ages later, they were like, "Oh shit, my bad. This dude kind of had a gut." Sway did know the answers. Or I guess like I thought of more examples before, but bear with me. I'm drunk, and this is just an impulsive video. Like, what makes a person bad or not bad? I don't think shoplifting is bad. Some people think that shoplifters are the scum of the earth and disgusting and terrible people, and the reason prices are so high at the store. But I remember this guy I dated, he was a Marxist. He told to me, I don't really care if people shoplift from stores because if they really needed it or wanted it, then and couldn't afford it, then okay. But if they could afford it, that's not nice. But they said I was going to buy the item anyway, so why would I care if it's like what 10 cents more because like a handful of people decided to take it for free? I don't mind paying the extra money for the toothpaste, and if anything, they should lower the price so that then less people are gonna steal it because they'll be like, "Eh, the price is way too low," you know. I remember I walked into a store. I saw this dude like putting tons of shit in his jacket, and then he looked at me with fear in his eyes. I just looked away, and then it was like this, and then just like nodded my head so that because it's like, yeah, I don't care if you shoplift, dude, because maybe you really need it. Maybe you're boosting or something. That's not cool, but maybe you really need it. And then guess what? He just kind of got the confidence. He was like, oh, okay. This chick's cool with it. He grabbed some and he just walked straight out. Did not give a fuck. Good for him. Good for him. Some people are like, ooh, shoplifters need to be skinned and hung from the fucking ceiling, Galileo style. I don't know if that happened to Galileo. I just know he had a fucked up death. And then, like, some people like me are like, I really don't care. I don't care. Because it's one of those things where it's like, maybe you should enhance your security. I'm not saying security needs to be roaming every single aisle and like snooping on every single person, but I'm just saying it's like, have someone at the door and have someone who walks around a little bit just to keep an eye on things, but isn't like super aggressive, in my opinion. Or just have people watching the cameras. And I know you're like, to me, are you victim blaming the store? Yeah. I guess it just like I start off with shoplifting because I guess it's like an example of how everyone has different moral codes in their head, every single person. And it's just kind of scary to know what that is. I remember I was walking around in public, and then my mom's one of her friends, who is like a caretaker to like a son who is friends with my younger brother. She stopped me in the street and she was like, "You look so gorgeous, so glad to see you're doing well. I'm not a bad energy. I'm not a bad energy." She was a bad energy. She was a terrible energy. And she just tried to be all like, "Oh, aren't you ever gonna see your mother again?" And then, like, she kept trying to make me feel bad about it. And I said, "No, I have scars on my face. That was her last time ever touching me or seeing me. And I hope she got the pleasure she needed out of it because she wanted to do that." And then, but she kept trying to guilt trip and gaslight and be like, there's two sides to every story, and not every, like, do you really think you could have done better as a parent? Yes, dumbass. It's not hard. And if you really, really, really think that my mother was like, oh, you retarded bitch. Sorry, I don't like saying the word retarded, but sometimes, like, how do I put this? We need to create more words for the word idiot. That's another reason I'm slightly becoming a more bad person in my own moral code because I think saying retarded is fucking stupid and it's bad and mean. I don't think you should be mean to people who have disabilities. But then again, after enough time has passed, one, COVID did actually make more people mentally retarded. Like, actually, like a lot of us are fucking dumber. Like you could walk into someone joked, they said you could walk into Home Depot and ask for a 4x10 sheet of wood and they would stare at you and say, what is that, some type of square? And I've had people do that thing where they repeat themselves endlessly, or they have brain fog, or they like, oh, it's like, and it's like, you nigga, you're not much older than me. You're like 29. You need to wear a mask. And like, Jesus, take some fucking supplements at least. I think that the people who went around during all of shelter in place, like the places that did have shelter in place where they were like, hi, stay inside because we have COVID, and we will send you money to stay the fuck inside for like 2 weeks. I think the people who went, fuck that shit, I'm gonna go out regardless. Not even to work. Like, how do I put this? Because there was a rent freeze in tons of areas. Like, where it's like, you don't have to worry about your rent. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. Just stay the fuck inside. And then people were like, hell yeah, I don't have to pay my rent and my fucking direct deposit just hit, I'm gonna go illegally party at this place or that place or this place. I think that's fucking ugh. Anyway, and we know how that went because it's like COVID started when I just turned 19 and I'm 24 now and it's still around. And I do think the people who were out there just willy nilly spreading that shit around were bad. Oh, I saw the most annoying people. There was this woman at this place I worked at. Oh, I also think these types of people are bad because she not only was like anti mask and trying to say that wearing a mask was basically like modern day slavery and the Holocaust, and that they were trying to force us to do things blindly so that then we would never question things and would train us in case they wanted to kill us all or whatever. She was a nut. Like, I sort of get it, but for the most part, it's like, ma'am, I think you're just a nut. It's a mask on your face, and then these same people will be like, oh, I just feel so weird lately in my head, my chest, and my lungs, and my body. Oh, it's like, well, I know why that is, bitch. Anyway, and so she also was the type of person where she'd be like, sorry, I'm a bit sick myself. I also should probably take a COVID test just in case. I remember I told her at the time that I was financially struggling. Or I didn't even tell her. She just saw it on my story online that I was posting like my GoFundMe and mutual aid posts as I was still like definitely working tons of shifts. And then this bitch hit me up just to be like, ooh, girl, I can teach you how to make money. Fuck a 9 to 5, sis. I got people who can help you out. I got connections. I can definitely like help you get on your feet. Fuck a 9 to 5. And then you know what she did? She just came to work the next day, my job, and then she was like, oh, hey, so I have a babysitting gig that I can't do, and I was gonna ask if you could cover for me. It's like 3 days, but it's 30 an hour, and I thought to myself, that's not saying fuck a 9 to 5. That's just you pawning off your work onto me and hoping that someone's gonna be comfortable with a total stranger. Like, you're just trying to get out of your own job, bitch. But I was down just for like her to ghost me for like 4 days until she said, "Oh yeah, actually, never mind. The family's not comfortable with that." No fucking shit. You're just asking random strange women to take care of your kids so that you could go party in Cancun. You fucking idiot. I did talk to her more. I was like, "Hey, you did say you have connections though," and da 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 da. And then she just pulled a, "Oh, well, just look it up. It's not hard." And I said, "Yeah, but you said you knew and you had connections specifically, and that you knew how to get me to quit 9 to 5. So I guess can you spitball some ideas?" Because, of course they Google anything, but if you're a resource, I'd love to know. She said, "Oh, stuff like modeling, blogging, writing." I told her, it's like, you have my Instagram. You can see that I've done all of those things and I haven't gotten money from them yet. And that it can take years to develop. Like, you can't just make a blog and then instantly get money. That's not going to say fuck a 9 to 5. Anyway, she was so stupid that I had to just eventually tell her off. I was like, you are one of the most mentally. I didn't say retarded back then. Or did I? I think that, like, sometimes I have moments where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to rip out the hard R. You are fucking retarded. You are stupid. Because if I see someone who's poor, like, and struggling, I would not send them condescending messages about fuck a 9 to 5, get your money up and hustle and grind when you already see that person getting online and talking about how they're working nonstop shifts and how all their money is going towards like transportation to their job and they haven't eaten in 3 days. I would, with my rich girl money, I'd be like, oh, here's some funds. So that, like, really, she could have just opened her wallet. Like, even if she just went, hi, I'm an extremely rich person living in a penthouse area. Um, Here's like $5 or $20 for lunch. That would have made my whole fucking life. It would have, like, really. But instead, you're just gonna condescend to someone whose fucking stomach is touching their spine. Uh. Not the first person I've dealt with like that. I remember this one guy. I remember I thought to myself, he's not like. I'll say the good about him. He was this guy at my other fancy job I got in the city, where he was like, he showed up like on acid and drunk and miserable, and he was just talking to me, and I was talking to him, and he was like, "You're really friendly, you're really nice. Oh, what are you doing there in that sketchbook?" And I told him that I was just drawing and making artwork, and he saw a piece of art I made, and he was like, "Holy fucking shit." And then, like, we kept talking, and then I told him how long it took me to do it and how my life's been going, and he sat me down and he was like, "I'm gonna do something for you. I'm gonna give you $600." And I was like, I was waiting for the part where he was gonna say, "And you're gonna come to my apartment and suck my dick," but that didn't come, and neither did he. He just said, like, I said, "What's the catch? Why?" And then he was like, "Oh, just because I want to, and also because I want to make sure that you keep doing art, never stop. Like, never in your life stop doing art. Please, please, never stop. I never want to see a talent like this go to waste, and you deserve a lot more money and a lot more recognition for your art. So don't worry about it. Like, take the money, please." I was so grateful that he gave me that money. But if you're wondering, what did you do with the money, Tamia? Probably some impulse buying bullshit at Target, sadly. If I could rewind time with the it's like it's wild. I had a shit ton of money from, like, oh man. All that money could have been to efficient stuff, but no. What can I say? I was like fucking 20 and stuff and immature, and I don't know. Sometimes you go to Target and you're like, I'm just gonna buy these markers, $6, and then you do a few little $6 or $28 purchases, and you don't realize how quickly that's adding up. I don't know, but I will say that was one of those instances where I was like, humanity does have a lot to offer. But then that same guy, like maybe like a year later or so, I did start struggling because I had to lose that job for complex reasons. And I guess this is relevant. The complex reason I lost that job was because I remember when I was younger, I was like 18, 19, probably 18. And there was this guy, let's just say, I don't want to say the whole traumatic story because I don't feel like being depressed today. Let's just say he was a man who was targeting women who were vulnerable on the sugar baby websites. And he was saying, like, yeah, meet with me here, meet with me here. Whole time he wouldn't actually meet with them. And then he would just like cancel last minute and leave them standing in the fucking cold, embarrassed in public, like mere, and then block them. And that was his deal. I remember I actually almost killed myself that night because of how, like, because I tried to text him I tried to call him, he wasn't responding, and he blocked my number. I texted from another number, and I said, hey, man, that's really not cool. Like, you gotta give someone more of a heads up before letting them know, or at least don't block me so that we could talk a bit more. Because now I'm just stuck here in the cold. And then he just said, and I didn't think I'd have to block a prostitute tonight, and a few other degrading things. And that wasn't fun. It's like, nigga, you're twice my age, if not more, and you're trying to. What? Anyway, let's just say being in public in a skimpy dress, in a cute outfit, getting stares at in public. Because, you dressed as if you were going to have a hot date, and now you're just standing in the fucking cold, miserable. And then just it's more that goes into that story, but I also, let's just say I really needed the money that he was going to give me that night, and let's just say I didn't get it because obviously he canceled. And then yeah, then it's like, oh, I wasted hours of my time getting ready, and then an hour on public transportation, and I wasted the little funds I got on public transportation. So I actually lost money in the process just to get embarrassed like that and disrespected. I remember I almost considered killing myself. I was standing on, or I was standing on the train station, like, platform, and I was like, I don't see any cars coming. I'm the only person here. I could just, like, spring myself up and then just splat, and no one would miss me. No one would care. I could do it. I still cry every time I think about that. Don't worry, I got home, told my friends about it. My friends were like, hey, maybe take a step back from sugar babying for a bit. And, you'll be okay. And we talked. Several friends reached out. And, yeah. Anyway, so this ties in because my very first day at the second job I had at the penthouse apartments in the city, I remember I showed up, it was chaos. Like, all three out of four elevators stopped working. It was nonstop people trying to get up that were angry at me, despite me just being the new hire who has never been there before. Tons of people angry, like trying to get down, taking hours to get down, having to walk like 41 flights of stairs, late to meetings, all that shit. It was. And like tons of people raging, raging, raging. And that's a lot of stress, especially in your first fucking hour of work. But then what made it worse and even more embarrassing is that, I didn't look my absolute best because, like I already mentioned, I was struggling financially. I didn't quite have money to get my hair done or, like, do laundry. So I was struggling like fucking shit and trying my best to appease these fucking, like, I wouldn't say they're terrible people. Like, I wouldn't say they're bad people. Some of them are. But some of them are just, like, easily disgruntled, have temperaments, or are rightfully pissed and just don't know who to take out their anger to. But this guy, guess who I saw come down from the elevator and start yelling at me? The same guy I almost killed myself over years ago who embarrassed me about the sugar baby shit and left me stranded in the cold. And when I saw him, all those emotions came flooding back. And he started yelling. He was like, I mean, why aren't the elevators working? Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, they should be. We pay so much money to be here. And he was just, like, being, like, I won't say condescending, but definitely snarky and, like, ridiculing it. And I tried to appease him, saying it was my first day. It didn't really help, but still. And I let people know. I remember I almost went home that day. I remember I called up my temp agency. I was like, I can't do this. Can I just get some temp that can just take over for me after my lunch break? It's so devastatingly bad here. I was sobbing into my fucking food. I was like, this shit is so bad. I can't be here, dude. And then it was just like, but I told their ass. I was like, like, months went by, the job got easier. My bosses were cunts. And if you're like, were they bad people? They weren't the best people. They were the type of people to be like, yeah, let's just hire some temp to get verbally abused on our behalf for things that we aren't going to bother to fix or change around here. But I do remember I went to a penthouse party later on Halloween, and they were like, oh, we were going to shut it down, but we see Tamia's in there having fun. So as long as she keeps the noise down and has a blast, like, we don't really care. And it was wonderful. Anyway, sorry, I'm skipping ahead in this story. But yeah, I worked there for months, and then sometime around, like, November, like late November, that's when I lost that job, and this is why. Because like at first the sugar daddy dude, like I just wasn't addressing, like I'd still talk to him if he requested services from us, but he'd noticed that everyone else gets a good morning, hello, good morning, and then for him it's like a, or he gets nothing, and then he kind of just and then at some point he did come up to me and he was like, "Hey, just so you know, I'm really sorry about yelling at you months ago. Like that wasn't mature of me and it wasn't cool." And I felt full of rage and anger and I wanted to cry and stuff. But I just quietly was like, "Don't, you don't have to apologize for that." And a part of me wanted to tell him what he should have actually apologized for, but I didn't. I just very solemnly looked away from him. I didn't make eye contact. I said, "You don't have to apologize for that. It's okay. Don't worry, there's nothing to apologize for in that department." And then as time went on, I thought maybe I could get wave at this dude. Like nothing too much, but like a little solemn little something. But then I don't know. It's like, yeah, he was the reason that a teenage girl wanted to kill herself and lost money that could have gone to food when she was already going through a very hard time. Because he just wanted to be a misogynistic little cunt. That still kind of fucks me up, dude. Anyway, let's just say months went by, and if I recall correctly, I think this was my premenstrual dysphoric disorder, or maybe it was just a really rough time for me in general. But I remember eventually he left his food sitting out. Like, he got some DoorDash order and then was going out for his millionth smoke of the night, and I kind of thought to myself, I could just do this once. I could just be immature once before I go on my break and no one would find out because the cameras here don't work, and I can have an easy time at the rest of the time at this job, just not giving a fuck about whatever happens with him whatsoever. So I saw his food sitting on this little stoop. The stoop was probably only like a foot tall or so. I gently knocked it over with my foot, and then I just went on my break. So that then the alibi would be like, oh, she wasn't around at the desk. Let's just say that it turns out the cameras do work, they just don't show on the computers, and someone eventually was like, oh yeah, she kicked this dude's food over on camera and then happily skipped away. And I did tell my manager, like, the context. And she was like, yeah, that is really fucked up. Holy shit. But she still was like, yeah, but I'm sorry. We still can't have you work here. So I had to lose my job for a bit, which was very disappointing. So, whatever. Time went on. And then there was this guy, yeah, the guy who gave me $600 for my art. Wonderful guy. And I would show you the art that I've put all against my walls that I've made myself, but some of them are works in progress. Also, I'm ill, so I don't feel like standing up. But for this guy, circling back to him, what happened with him was that I remember at some point I reached out to him. I was like, hi, is it possible? Like, I was reaching out to people about the mutual aid stuff. And I just asked, like, hey, if it's not possible to donate any money, is it possible that you could even just, like, reshare my mutual aid post? Because, like, I am, like, trying to find new jobs and I am, like, finding a few shifts I can pick up here or there to keep myself decently afloat. But I'm really, really struggling right now. And then his response was like, how do I put this? Mind you, this is a guy who makes a shit ton of money, where he can live on like the 39th floor of this fucking penthouse building and, just give $600 to me willy nilly. This asshole, he just totally was like, oh, I would, but it doesn't fit like my aesthetic for my story. And I am kind of known for not posting on my story. So I can't do that. And I kind of thought to myself, oh, okay, so he doesn't care that my stomach is touching my spine and that I'm not being able to afford basic like hygiene supplies or like food, and that I'm kind of struggling super hard because he cares about the aesthetic of his story. And mind you, he only has 3 photos on his page. And it's like one is of him sticking his tongue out in this very ugly selfie. And then like 2 random photos of skyscrapers. You're not like, nigga, you are not Instagram. He had less followers than I did. Oh, anyway. Or maybe like roughly the same amount, but it's like still, I'm pretty sure a little less. Anyway, yeah, he got called bad words. Fucking idiot. But I was gonna say, it's kind of interesting though how everyone has like different levels of what they consider good or bad. I remember at my other job, my third time working at a penthouse, or was it my fourth? I don't know. But I worked there for years, and I know that as I worked there, there was this couple. You know, it was like codfish, bleach blonde, bad built, butch body girl. Like, you know, she looked like she was trying to be Paris Hilton mixed with Anna Nicole Smith mixed with that person online who tried to turn themselves into a tiger through cosmetic surgery. She had like very fucked up Donatella Versace face, but you know. But I mean, her skin was tea. But she just fucked up her futures with injections and lipo and stuff. And then her much, much, much older boyfriend, who probably was very alone and stuff and didn't have much sense. I should still call that guy. He did give me his phone number. He was a sweet man. But I do remember that at some point, like, she did something fucked up to him, and then she tried to, like, run off on him. And then I guess I heard him screaming into his phone from his apartment, "What do you mean you can't cancel my credit card and give me back my money? That bitch stole 3,000 fucking dollars from me!" And it's like, I guess she was also doing drugs and all this awful shit. And it's just like, oof. Like the way I saw her fleeing in the elevators and stuff, and she was trying to quickly rush to get shit out of her, like out of her apartment and out of the elevators before someone catches us. I kind of thought to myself, oh, there's like, you know, I know that power dynamics can be weird. Is this like a girl escaping from her abuser? But then her friend did look kind of coked out, and I did kind of think to myself, I kind of want to see what happens because I'm not always the best person either. I did kind of just assume, either the woman's the victim or she's just like the interesting protagonist who I just want to see like whatever comes next. Maybe she'll appreciate this. And I just set the elevator so that then she could just, instead of having to nonstop hold it open, hold it open, it's like I'll just set it so that the doors remain open. Let me know if you need a card. She was like, "Thank you, oh thank you so much," and then she got her shit out and left. The cops never came though for whatever the fuck she did. All I know is I heard that dude screaming into his phone later in the evening for about an hour about like, oh, that bitch stole my money, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, it was so bad, whatever she did, that they were like, ban her from the building. If she comes back, immediately call the police. Until, like, I remember at some point I showed up to work and there was this guy who was like substituting for like another coworker. And as we were talking, this chick just strolls in before you can even notice and then uses her key fob to get up. I'm like, oh fuck, are we gonna get fired? We didn't see her. How did she get in? And then, like, I was like, he was like, we're not gonna get fired. I said, are you fucking sure I really need this job? He's like, we're not gonna get fired, or at least, but he also was acting with the we're gonna get fired, but I need her to not panic so I can think of an alibi to save my own ass, sort of thing. And I just said, here, listen, I'll take the blame for it because you could just say that you were already off work and just talking to me, and I can just, yeah, I'll take the blame. You just go. I was willing to just take the blame for this random ass white dude. Maybe I am a good person, but either way, he left. And then I thought to myself, okay, shit, I don't know what I'm gonna see when I go up this elevator. Is it gonna be some abusive spad? And I don't know what's gonna happen. But I went up there and then I just saw him like taking in her bags, like, oh, hey, welcome back, baby, and rolling back in her shit after like a week apart. And then it was awkward. I had to basically email the staff and then also tell the manager by the next morning. I was like, hey, so you know how we said we need to ban Brittany from the building because she probably did some evil shit to the old man up there. She was like, yeah, why? And I was like, yeah, he was just rolling in her stuff last night. I panicked thinking she was sneaking in, but he just invited her, and so I guess they're back to living together. And she was like, oh my fucking god. And she was like, Jesus Christ. My coworker Brenda was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, he raised hell all week, being like, don't let her in, don't let her in. We need to get her banned. We need to get her arrested all week. Just to, like, at the end of the week, allow her in himself. God. And then guess what? Another week went by. He had to kick her out again. And then I don't know what she did next time, but he was crying and super distraught. I think she stole a lot more money. I'm sorry, dude. I still should call him. It's been like a year. I should check in on him. He did give me his number. It's kind of sweet. I like it whenever people in apartment buildings are like, here's my phone number, by the way, just in case. But then also you get to make friends with some of them. That's lovely. Oh, and yeah, it's just interesting to know that some people don't smell their own shit and some people don't smell other shit. I remember, you know how I said earlier that bad people don't care about being bad people? I guess that's not completely true because I remember with my own mother, she saw me crying in the bathroom in like fourth grade because I didn't want to go to school anymore because I was like getting bullied. Like I cried every single day before school. It was like a daily routine for me because I fucking hated it. It was awful. And I remember my mom specifically, she didn't give a fuck. She just was like, "Oh, well just ignore them," or "Oh, well that just means he likes you and you don't want to get held back all over this, don't you?" It's like, "Why don't you care that your alleged favorite child who you love so much is getting kicked in the shins by a boy like a year or two older than her who's being held back and is calling her stupid, is calling her bad words, is cut like I had bruises on my legs every day. That shit fucking hurt." But anyway, I remember at some point she watched into the bathroom, and then she was like, and then she started crying herself. And I guess she, like, I was just crying because I just was thinking, oh, I hate school, I hate life, I hate school, I hate life. But then she barged in, and this is when I thought she was a good mother still, regardless, just, flawed. She started crying and she was like, "Am I a bad mother to Mia?" And I was like, "No, no, this isn't about you at all. No, 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 no." Yeah, but she was like she just like kept me home from school, and I remember that she cried most of the day, panicking over. This still makes me sad to think about, but I shouldn't get too sad because I know how this story ends. She didn't try to be a better mother because she's not that good of a person. It's kind of sad just being like there was a point where I could have said my mother was a redeemable person. But then again, I don't, maybe just never, because it's like she was the type of bitch that would be like, "I'm gonna beat the shit out of my child for like fucking 5 hours, 7 hours straight, and then I'm gonna force her older brother to stare at her naked as she's crying and shivering in the cold shower I forced her into. I'm gonna force her in steaming hot showers, take her out, beat her, put her in cold showers, take her out, beat her, force her older brother to have a weird, ugh, and then make her sleep on the fucking floor. Like, yeah, that's not what is. So when that stupid ugly bitch that is my mom's friend tried to be like, "Do you really think you would do better than your mother?" Yes. There's a joke about like how if the apocalypse started, you don't have to worry about being fast. You just have to be faster than the last guy. Like as long as there's someone else being slower than you, you're probably going to be safe. Except that's kind of like my family's message. It's like my grandmother just went, "Ooh, my mama was fucked up. I'm gonna be an evil bitch to my kids now." And then it's like my mother went, "Oh, my mom was an evil bitch. I'm gonna be slightly like I'm gonna be like better to my kids, but still significantly nightmarish and terrorize them." And then now it's my turn, and instead I'm just like, like I could easily be a bad person and be like, my mother was a bitch. So I'm gonna have like a massive control freak issue, ego issue, tons of pride, and I'm gonna be a nightmare to my kids. But I'll just say, hey, at least I didn't beat you and make you sleep on bathroom floors. It's like, hey, bitch, no, because it's like instead I'm just gonna aim to be a normal fucking parent. Like, I'm gonna aim to be someone who like treats kids with respect and love and care. Like, for the most part. Jesus. Anyway, I can't stand people who make an active choice to do bad. It's stupid as fuck. Oh, but if you want to have that story ends, I remember my mother just cried and then she made me like chocolate chip pancakes with a bunch of eggs and bacon and stuff and let me stay home and watch cartoons and my favorite movies and stuff. She was trying to be a good person. Like, but guess what? She wasn't a good person. So it's like how do I put this? If she really cared, she could have been like, "What's going on to make you cry? What's going on at school? What's doing this? What's doing that?" She was not a good person. Anytime I can remember her trying to do conflict resolution, it was usually just trying to use that as ammunition for like an ass beating, or threats, or guilt trip, or anything. She's an inherently bad person. And anyone who enables her behavior is also a bad person. But I don't know, we all have different moral codes. Sometimes, like I was thinking on last night, like I'm a magnet, or I have been a magnet to some people who have had fucked up lives, but I'm also a bit more accepting than others for certain things. One can say, "Oh, is it just because you don't want to be alone?" At this point, not really. I'm okay with being alone, but it's more so just like I don't think every single thing is damnable. you know like, okay, you had a lot of reckless sex, cool, you're not damned for it. Oh, okay, like you bopped up, you got in a fight with this guy, you did that thing, you have these thoughts, not inherently bad. I remember on the Intrusive Thoughts subreddit, I mentioned this before, there's this kid who was talking about how he was obsessed with this girl and would not stop thinking about her. And a bunch of people in that otherwise welcoming subreddit just started dogpiling this nigga. I was the only one that just knew how to be like, hey dude, listen, I've been in your shoes before. I've done much worse than you. Trust me when I say you're just like the beginning stages of like how bad it could be. But you're at the stage where you can easily get over this. If I knew how many better people, like I explained, it's like because he was doing some shit that was mildly nutty, but not like people were acting like, oh, you're calling her house and texting her when she doesn't want to be texted. You need to be put in the gulag. It's like, I'm not that type of person. I told him like, hey dude, when I was your age, I was obsessed with this one dude. I did a lot worse. I was contacting family members. I was showing up at his apartment. I was full on going psychotic, singing musicals in his voicemail. I was having, ooh, you should have seen the shit I was trying to do to that man and did do to that man. Like, it was atrociously bad. Trust me when I say you are a good person. And, like, even then, guess what? I still have managed to redeem myself since. Because I realized that, hey, this guy's not a total prize. And like enough time passed and I entirely forgot he existed because I dated people who were actually respectful, considerate towards me, all of that. And you deserve that. And I explained like the ways he described that she wasn't supporting him. And I said, you deserve better than someone who does that to you. It feels like she's the only person who can, but over time you're going to meet someone with an even better set of eyes, an even better face, all that. Trust me. Like hell, now I can list like 18 different men I've dated that were way better than that fool I almost like fucking was willing to go to jail over when I was like 17, 18. Trust me. Life goes on. But I talked to him and someone DM'd me like, that was really nice of you to do that. I'm glad you didn't judge him. Thank you. And that was really sweet and affirming. I guess like, but yeah. I don't think people are inherently damnable, but it depends. Like if you're someone who's like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of, like, yeah, I don't know, some things I think do make people bad. Like there's this one guy, I won't well actually I could say it, let's just say there's this dude who allegedly beat the shit out of his pregnant baby mother and was super abusive to him multiple times and stuff. Like I fully understand. How do I put this? What I noticed is his ex-girlfriend, the pregnant baby mama, was the one posting evidence. From what I saw of him, he was not posting any evidence of anything that she had allegedly did ever. He was just going off of word of mouth. But even then, I'm gonna be honest, like I'm not saying either of these people's identity out of respect, even, and also if you see this girl, I'm not shitting on you. I'm not shitting on you at all. Not in the slightest. But at some points I did kind of ask because, he was alluding that he had some tires slashed by her. I asked, did you slash his tires? And she would kind of like dodge the question. I wanted, and I think at some point I did just have to say, I wouldn't give a fuck even if you did slash that nigga's tires. Like, I wouldn't. And maybe I'm a bad person for that in my own regard, but it's like it depends on the context. But it's more like, because there's like one of two reasons. He either did some shit to deserve it, or if he didn't deserve it, just be honest about it, because that's how you grow as a person. You go, oh yeah, I did something fucked up, and it was probably an proportionate response that they did not deserve. And it's like, once you say that, it's like, you can start doing your healing process, acknowledging the bad done, the good done, the chaos, the mayhem, all that. But at the same time, let's just say I'm pretty sure the nigga deserved to have his tire slashed. He's just not a good person. Yeah, it's like I'm gonna believe the one who is posting evidence versus the one who's not. Even though, like, some people, like, how do I put this? Some people are like, this chick's a crazy nut, and she just goes around harassing people and leaving weird cryptic comments. And then for me, I was like, this is the chick who no one likes? I wonder why no one likes her. And then I got to know her, and it's like, oh no, she's very sweet and friendly. Like, she's a really good person. She's really nice. Like, a complex person. I wouldn't say bad. But then again, that's what I'm saying. Like, how can you tell if someone's a bad person or not? Like, I remember I had to tell someone I went on a date with, I was telling them about her because, and I was like, she's a sweet girl. She says slurs though. And then he was like, what? And I had to clarify. It's like the only slur she says is the F slur, but she likes the gays. She likes gay people. She likes trans people. You could tell she's confused by them, but she accepts them.
She just specifically really, like, she uses it kind of like an Xbox word, where she just says it in place of like bitch boy or fuck boy or fuck face or dick shit or dick face or whatever, she's just like, you're a fuck, and like, she will say like the hard F, capital T. And like, the only time she's actually meant it was in regard to her shitty ex. And that would be in the context of, you're cheating on me and trying to get your dick sucked and trying to be a fucking insert word there, and like, and the whole time you're abusing me and getting your dick sucked by any bitch with a wig on or that across the country as I'm at home without it's like, how do I put this, it's one of those things where it's like, I'll just, it was one of those things where I just thought to myself, we will address that later. I will have a conversation with her about that later. But it's like, she knows I'm non-binary. She knows I'm gay. She knows, like, I'm pretty, like, she has multiple friends that are also gay and stuff. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I don't think she grew up in a politically correct environment. She seems to still like the gays and the trans. She just specifically hates her potentially bisexual, cheating ass, lame ass, abusive ass ex boyfriend who abandoned her as she was pregnant. Also, I don't like whenever people say shit like, "Ooh, I had to leave my baby behind. I had to da 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 because my ex was crazy." I don't like when people say that. This is some, actually, this ties in pretty well. But to finish off my final thoughts on that, I was gonna say I don't blame my ex homegirl, or because, like, how do I put this? I think it's something she could grow out of, and I don't think she truly means it. I think her rage is more targeted towards her man, not towards the gays. It's just like, yeah, simply put, like, I've seen people online be like, am I the asshole? People are saying that I'm a bigot because my, and then it would be stories of like women having their boyfriends come out as gay and then reveal that they've been cheating on her the entire time and just using her as a beard for like fucking 8 years. And then like they just suddenly would be like, I'm gonna still come to every single family event and I'm gay now. And then it's like, and then she would be like, hi, I don't want him at the events. And they were like, you're a fucking bigot. It's like, no, she's not a bigot, idiot. That's a guy who wasted like almost a decade of her life promising a future. Whole time he was actively cheating nonstop, 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 and being emotionally fucked up to her. Like, yeah, he didn't need to do any of that. Ugh, stupid ass. Anyway, I think it's something she could grow out of, and I could tell that she, and it seemed like she didn't really mean it. I don't know, maybe she did, maybe she didn't. But either way, I just kind of thought, if, like, lesser of two evils. It's like woman with pregnancy hormones and probably who just is not in the most politically correct environment, who hates her baby daddy, or shitty baby daddy who's probably, like, still 10 times worse. And, yeah, ugh, not great guy. Anyway, let's move on from that topic, because even talking about him disgusts me. Next topic. Damn, I forgot what the next topic was going to be.
I hate that I can't rewind on here to see what I just said. It was going to be a really, really nice segue. Anyway, as I was saying, my ex homegirl, problematic, but like, yeah, it's like if you did torch that nigga shit or stab his tires or do whatever, it's like, fuck it. Like, as long as you don't do that shit going forward and try your best and put your best foot forward and do some healing work, like, I don't know, I feel like that's something that's like overcomable. I feel like oh yeah, right, this is the next one. I don't like when I hear men say shit like, "Ooh, I like they leave their children behind because their baby mama is crazy." If the baby mama is crazy and you know that, why would you leave the defenseless fucking child there? There was this guy online, he was like, "My baby mama crazy as fuck. She out there like tormenting my child and shit. I don't know what to do." Someone said, "File for custody." He was like, "Oh, I mean, I ain't really got time for that. I mean, I got shit to do." And it's like, nigga, you know your kid's getting out there beat with fucking jumper cables, and you're just like, oh, but I need bad bitches at my crib. So, some people should not be allowed to reproduce. It's a damn shame. And yeah, like hell, funny enough, I remember my own shitty, stupid biological father, who I forget even I forget he exists. Like, I really, really forget that man exists entirely. And it's better that I don't. Like, how do I put this? Some people are like, I don't have dads. Some people are like me, where it's like, yeah, you got one. You just forget because he's not like around. It's like he didn't go out for milk and never came back. He just likes to like linger at the fucking milk store, and then you can just meet him there, but he'll never come back home. But you know where to find him for like a brief, awkward conversation and the world's shittiest hug, and maybe a gift every now and then. That's kind of him.
And if you're like, that's a fucked up way to see your father, well, that's the way he portrayed himself as me. So instead of seeing me as bad for not liking him, you should see him as bad for ever putting himself in a position to be recognized as what he has shown himself to be. Now, but yeah, when I was a child and I was getting beat to fucking smithereens, guess who was in bed with my mother, snuggled up with her, cuddling, trying to convince her to date him again, knowing that I was sleeping on the bathroom fucking floor naked. Uh, yeah, it's like, yeah. And then even the last time I ever saw my biological father, ooh, his bitch ass. Funny enough, you can see the scars my mother gave on my face in certain lighting, right here and right here. There's also photos of it online that I can always post again. Not like I need to, but still. Let's just say he was the type of guy he was not there. He he wasn't there any step of the fucking way at all. And the last time I saw him, he cried, I guess, because he realized how useless I saw him in my mind. And he said something like, I just don't want you to think that I don't care about you. He's already shown that. Even years later, he's shown that. I remember actually, I got a new phone plan because this nigga tried to like guilt trip me by being like, he was giving me cold shoulder and then telling the one family member I had contact with back then, he was like, hey, guess what? You need to go. Like, he was like, I'm not gonna like help her get her phone reconnected to data until she deletes that video she made talking about her mother. And then she apologizes to her mother. And I thought to myself, that's wild because my mother left bloody fucking scars on my face. And you didn't, yeah, there was no sort of you should apologize to Tamia. There was nothing of the sort. Fuck that. And then even, I remember the last time I ever saw him face to face, he was like, ooh, his bitch ass. I hate him actually. If he got hit with a brick, I wouldn't feel bad for him. If he died, that would just be his legacy. I wouldn't feel like I missed out on any sort of revolutionary person. That's just the man who died. I would not give a fuck. Anyway, that's the legacy he gave himself. I'll put it to you like this. Imagine how you would feel if your dad was sitting with you in the car as you have bloody fucking gashes on your face and he's trying to tell you that you shouldn't have hit your mother back even in self-defense. Mind you, Jesus Christ, I was trying to shove her ass off of me. In the process, she got her face fucking clawed back. Because it's like, yeah, I'm trying to shove you off of me, and if you're resisting, my long ass nails are gonna get you in your fucking face, of course. Like, and it's just like, anyway. Yeah, he showed how useless he was to me, but I also knew he still was a simp for my mom even years later. And he's a pathetic little mongrel of a man, and I have zero respect for him whatsoever. He is disgusting. I don't talk about him much because there's nothing much to talk about. I'll put it to you like this. Yeah, he doesn't really have any value to me. There's only one thing I could say. No, not even really that. Alright. He's just a guy. But on the bright side, at least we have had zero contact since, and he has minded his own business and has done what he's done as he has done for the other several years of my life. He's left me the fuck alone. Amen to that. I can at least give him credit for that. Shout out to actually leaving me the fuck alone when I asked to be left the fuck alone. God bless and amen. Stupid ass nigga. Anyway, I want to wrap this up because Jesus Christ, I can't leave. It's almost 11 a.m. He is not a good person. Like, I don't know if I can say he's a bad person because there was a point where I remember my mom was toxic to me and I needed a place to stay for a few days until things simmered down. And I remember he was like, he knew I had a little food scarcity, so he was like, here, I'll get you some lunch meat and some like mayo and mustard and bread and cheese and like some piece of bagels and a few things that you can enjoy and take home and stuff. And not every single memory of him was bad. Like, I still remember when he got me that little Bratz dollhouse. I still remember
Um, the times he tucked me into bed and like put on Hello Kitty for me, was he a good man? I'll put it to you like this: some elements he tried to give shits. Like, at his job they have this program where they can like help fund your kid go to college or whatever if they get above a certain grade. But he wasn't around enough to know why my grades were so low. Because it's like, yeah, but he couldn't have done anything for me. Oh, I hate that. God damn it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not. Anyway, it also broke my heart. With the mother scar bullshit when he said what he said to me, because specifically it was like, hey, dude, uh, it just kind of reaffirmed exactly why I hadn't contacted him for years. Plus, he himself said, well, a phone works both ways. And, like, he tried to even pull the shithead dad excuse of, you did, like, when I was younger, you didn't want to hang out with me. You didn't want to talk to me. That doesn't mean you. It's like, nigga, I'm your child. You have legal custody to see me. If I don't want to see you, you should probably be questioning what you did to not be so good. And I remember what you did, nigga. Yeah, he was so useless. Hell, another memory of mine. I remember being on a play structure when I was younger, and those little it's hard, those little bars or whatever, like not the super tall monkey ones. There's like the small ones. I remember my favorite thing to do as a kid was to like put my knees on them and then flip upside down. That was fun. But then I flipped the wrong way, and I guess the bar was higher than what I'm used to. So I couldn't get myself down because my hands were too far from the ground and my pants were falling down. And I was like, help, 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 wait, can you help me? And then his stupid, useless ass, he just stares at me with his hands in his pockets. And he just says, you'll be alright, you'll be fine, you don't need help. And then I bust my ass and like my pants fall down, panties fall down, bust my actual ass on hard ass mulch. And then my face hits sharp ass mulch. And then my hair gets dirty and it's like, yeah, stupid ass idiot. On the bright side, he showed me exactly what I don't want in a man. I want men who are the opposite of him. Yeah. I want men who I can look at them and be like, he would be wonderful with a child. He would be a great with a child. And there's nothing like, yeah. Anyway, but even he was defending my mom, but I know he just is a simp for my mom, and he's also a massive fucking hypocrite because I remember like years before he told me proudly about the time he hit my mother in the face. He was like, "Yeah, I remember once your mom was mad at me and she doesn't like to communicate or to use her words, so she smacked me in the face. I had to teach her not to hit people, so I hit her ass back. And then she started crying and yelling and screaming, and then your grandma pulled a gun on me and said to get the fuck out, and I almost got shot." And I was like, wow. So it's like, how are you going to be the same asshole who years later, it's like, oh, hey, my single, like the only kid I have alive on this planet has her beautiful face gashed and bloody, and she is miserable and angry and sad and feels alone. And I'm gonna make her feel even more alone. And I'm gonna try to guilt trip her and make her feel bad for fighting back against the person trying to fucking maim her. Oh, I fucking hate these bitches. Yeah, there's a lot of bad people on this planet, but I guess that makes the good people look even better. Because I remember last night I was wandering around, I was like, I don't think I have a will to live. And I saw a lot of stupid shit and weirdos and stuff. Like this one idiot, he straight up, like, had all the room to walk around me. All the room to walk around me. It's like, it's as if he just was like, there's like a total like 30 feet of space or more that I could walk anywhere else, but I'm gonna get close to this chick wearing a mask and I'm just gonna like inches from her face. That was disgusting. And yeah, and I was pissed as hell, and I just thought to myself, I don't feel any more joy of living. I don't like this shit. I want to take it. Just stop living. But then you know what? I met that lady who I talked about at the beginning of this video, and she was like, yeah, I can, she told me about the charity, and I was like, you know what? I would love to give to the less fortunate. And she was so nice and so kind and non-judgmental that I had a great time. And then later that night, I was trying to get some food, and this nice Caribbean guy, like, I was talking about prices a bunch, and he was like, I can work with price. Like, what's your budget? I can work with that. I said, oh, I was thinking like 35 for like some funnel cake and some chicken wings with red beans and rice. He was like, yeah, you would get that for 35. And hey, I usually give people 3, but for you, I'll give 5. I was like, thank you so much. And then I went home with the will to live, and that felt amazing. And just, I don't know. I remember at some point I got like food. Yeah, I got the food. I went home, and I just was like, wow, that's wonderful. I had a conversation with someone recently, and I don't fully remember the conversation, but they said, but something bad happened, and then it was followed by something good. Oh yeah, I remember. We were at this concert. I got lucky. I got concert tickets to Catronata from them, and we watched the performance. It was fun. It was glam. It was good. And then we had a blast, just like hanging out, vibing. But we had some pretty, like a good spot, but kind of shitty because it was like someone in front of us kept nonstop farting, and you could smell it all. It was like some bean and cheese, like Indian food, spicy food, like nasty, nasty, strong stuff. And it was like the entire, like we were there for several hours. It was going the entire time. Someone had stomach issues and just thought it would be funny to just crop dust an entire audience. Fuck that shit. Plus, there was a dude in front of us who was just like wildly dancing and possibly on drugs, and he was just blocking my date's view the entire goddamn time, and it was fucking atrocious, dude. But I will say this, you want to know what happened? Eventually, someone was so sweet in the crowd. My date went over and he was like, "Can we stand right here? Is that okay?" They were like, "Yeah, sure." And I came through, and then we were like, "Holy shit, this is so much better." We had an even more clear view. No one was farting, no one was vaping, no one was grinding against us or blocking our view with their massive fucking head and arm waving and phones. And we could actually bust a move and dance on each other and have fun. And I said, "This is fucking amazing, 10 times better than the last spot." And he said, "You know what? Sometimes bad happens to show us how good really is when we get it, so that we can recognize good when we get it." And I was like, that's such amazing words of wisdom to just drop so, just like that, so impromptu like that, like off the dome. Wow. Perfect one liner to say. But that's true. And yeah, that's I always appreciate that there's good people on this planet who do good. I appreciate that there's people out there who are willing to be like, I'm going to petition and to get people involved in this charity to volunteer. I'm glad that there's people, and I'm sure she felt the same way when she saw me. I must have been one of the only people that stopped and actually talked to her. She had a few signatures, but didn't look like, but for the most part, it's like, 3 signatures and like basically no one else, like on many many other pages. That's like not a lot. But I stopped and listened, and she had this look of, thank God, like massive relief. And I'm glad I could be that for her. And I'm glad the Caribbean guy gave me food. I'm glad she gave me that opportunity. I'm glad that I have met people in this lifetime where they have let me know that some stuff is truly bad, where it's like, yeah, it's, or like how some stuff wasn't that bad. Like, yeah, you got in a fight with your ex, and yeah, you did this, this, and that, but I still think you're cool to me, and and it seems like you aren't that type of person, and you actually are working to like grow and change and never be that again. So as long as you aren't that again, and you aim to do your best, I still love you. Like, I love people like that. Or people who were like, hey, what you went through was really fucked up and traumatic, and you didn't deserve that. And yes, your mom's a bad person, your dad's a bad person, they could have done a lot better. And I'm glad that there is still good in the world, you know? And, like, you just have to always trust that it's there. And also, you have to know that there's still good within you, because just as last night, I was thinking a million bad thoughts. Like, trust me, I was having some anxious moments too. Not just towards me, I was also like, if this doesn't work out, I'm gonna be mean to this person and that person and that person. Because I was having some really bad thoughts, premenstrual disorder, and mental illness. But instead, I got to go home with a funnel cake and a full heart and a full stomach, and I got to feel bliss. And I want to bring bliss to others, not pain. Amen. Peace out.